A concerning storm is developing in the United States right now, and this is posing the threat for freezing rain that is leading to ice accumulation across parts of the Central Plains, the Midwest, and as well as the Great Lakes region. After this, we're going to be dealing with several more storms next week that'll be impacting a large chunk of the United States, with even some severe weather being possible early next week, the return of more snowfall, and the potential for another Arctic blast right before Christmas. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next 7 days, and we'll begin with what's happening across the country this morning, and a lot of it is going to stem from this large storm that has formed across parts of the Great Plains and is now moving into parts of the Midwest. And unfortunately, this is causing some big problems this morning, which you'll see some photos in a moment, but there's some pretty significant ice accumulation happening right now in parts of Iowa, Nebraska, northeast Kansas, even back into western Illinois, and this will impact areas like Minnesota, Wisconsin, and even Michigan as we go later into today, providing the potential for some ice accumulation. And even the slightest bit of ice accumulation is going to lead to problems, and you'll again see some photos in a moment representing that. Back over on the west coast, we have a huge storm over here as well. This is an atmospheric river that is posing the threat of a winter storm in the higher elevations of California, Oregon, and Washington, and also posing the threat for even some heavy rainfall that'll lead to flooding. And there's also a low-end threat for severe weather today back over near San Francisco, California. So a little bit of a rarity there here, but that is the time of the year where we do see atmospheric rivers impacting the west coast of the United States. And here are a couple of photos out of Nebraska and Iowa from last night from this particular ice storm that is currently happening. Again, just notice backed up traffic. Lots of accidents were happening last night, even with the smallest bit of ice accumulation. This accident here happened where there was barely any freezing drizzle. It was very minimal. So overall, there's been some big problems. Make sure if you're on the roadways today that you're driving very slowly if you're anywhere in these areas that are seeing ice accumulation right now. Now, the National Weather Service does have a mixture of winter weather advisories and ice storm warnings across the Midwest. Right now, we do have winter weather advisories in effect for a large chunk of Nebraska, the Dakotas, back through Minnesota, and even into parts of Wisconsin, Illinois, and the entire state of Iowa is under some sort of either winter weather advisory or an ice storm warning. And this particular ice storm is overperforming for sure. We are seeing a lot more ice accumulation than initially forecasted. This right here is where the current ice storm warnings are in effect, mostly across southeastern Iowa, where we do expect the greatest ice accumulation today. So this is what we're looking at right now on the radar. We've had a lot of freezing rain already falling, a little bit of sleet mixing in there, and there's also some snow, mainly back up in parts of Minnesota. But the temperatures aloft are actually a bit warmer than what they are near the ground level, which is why we are currently seeing freezing rain out there. This is going to continue for the next few hours at its heaviest amount. We are going to see some heavy freezing rain that is going to lead to some significant ice accumulation in Iowa and western Illinois throughout the rest of the morning. And again, trust me when I say this is an overperforming event. We are seeing a lot more ice accumulation than forecasted. Please don't be on the roadways unless absolutely necessary, because there's a lot of roads that were untreated because simply this was not forecasted to be such a widespread freezing rain event. And again, the smallest bit of freezing rain will cause ice accumulation, and it will make it slick on the roadways. As we go later into the morning around lunchtime, this ice accumulation is going to start to basically dwindle down, mainly in southeast Iowa. We'll still have freezing rain out there, mostly in eastern and northeastern Iowa and around Des Moines, and eventually we're going to see more of a transition to snow, maybe back over in like southern Wisconsin, and then that will eventually transition into freezing rain later this afternoon. The freezing rain becomes a lot more scattered in nature by this evening, but it will become a little bit more widespread as we go into the overnight hours back over in parts of Michigan. So be ready if you're anywhere in Michigan and you are planning on traveling Sunday morning. Be worried, because there will be the potential there for some more ice accumulation. Hopefully the roads are treated over there. And then as we go later into Sunday morning, this will continue with a little bit more ice accumulation, and eventually this is moving out into parts of the northeast. So in terms of total ice accumulation, this includes what we've already seen and what is to come. The HRRR is really aggressive on this. It does have some areas near a half an inch of ice back over in the basically three quadrant area here of Iowa, Illinois, and as well as Missouri. But overall, the majority of people will see anywhere from just 1/100 of an inch of ice upwards of 1/10 of an inch of ice. There will be a potential for power outages, especially in southeast Iowa over the next few hours as the ice accumulation does continue. Back over in Michigan tomorrow morning, we're more than likely going to see a widespread area between 1/100 of an inch of ice to about 1/10 of an inch of ice. There could be a few spots closer to 1/4 of an inch of ice. I think overall we're not going to have ice storm warnings over there. In terms of total snowfall accumulation, this is by no means a snowstorm, but there will be anywhere from a coating to maybe an inch or two if you're lucky out of this. This is definitely more of a freezing rain concern concern, which is definitely not what we want to see. By the way, there's also a chance for an isolated tornado today out of this storm. I'm not ruling one out. We have a little bit of a cold core setup back over in Missouri. If we do see some clearing and some higher temperatures and dew points, I wouldn't rule out an isolated tornado around or just east of Joplin early this afternoon. It's a very low chance, and if one does happen, it'll be very brief, but it's something to keep a close eye on. As we go into Sunday, this storm will continue to move towards New England and the Northeast, and more than anything, this particular storm is going to be falling apart, but before it does, it will bring some snowfall as we go into early Monday morning across parts of New York, and maybe a few flurries across New England before that eventually moves out, and then we'll have another storm right behind that, which we'll be talking more about here in just a moment. Now let's go more wide view across the entire United States and break down what's going to be happening over the next 7 days in terms of rain, snow, any more freezing rain, and as well as the potential for maybe some severe weather. Beginning with today, again, this large storm will continue to move east, bringing some showers and a few thunderstorms across parts of Illinois back through Texas. Should be mostly just rain though. As we go into Sunday, that storm eventually will start to fall apart, but before it does, again, there will be a threat for a little bit of snowfall back over in the Northeast late Sunday night into early Monday morning. By the time we go into Monday, we're gonna have another large storm forming back up here right along the Canadian and United States border. Some snow will be possible in the far upper Midwest. There will be plenty of showers and thunderstorms located across the Ohio Valley and as well as back through parts of the Mississippi River, and I'm not ruling out a little bit of severe weather as we go into Monday, maybe somewhere down here in the Ohio Valley. I think it's a very low chance at least for right now, but it's something to keep a close eye on. As we go into late Monday night to Tuesday morning, this eventually moves into the Northeast, and if you want any more snow in New England, you're not getting any out of this. This should be mostly just a rain event up there. As we go into Tuesday into Wednesday of next week, that is when our next Arctic blast will be possible here across the northern plains, Midwest, and the Ohio Valley. We'll likely have a strong cold front moving through much of the United States by the middle of next week. This should also accompany some showers and also some snow showers across parts of the Great Lakes region, and as well as back through the Ohio Valley and the southern plains. Exactly what we see in terms of snowfall, severe weather, all that sort of stuff is uncertain since we're still several days out, but it is going to be something to watch for as we go into the middle and end of next week. And then if you're wondering anything about Christmas right now, the GFS model is not indicating really anything on Christmas Day in terms of precipitation, at least for right now. This could easily change because we're still well over a week out, but those videos that you're seeing maybe on YouTube that are showing monster blizzards on, Christmas Day, it's not even close to being in the forecast. Not a single model I've looked at shows any sort of winter storm on Christmas Day. Again, things could easily change, but again, it's just a lot of hype and a bunch of baloney, basically. All right, let's go more to the potential for severe weather on Monday and kind of explain why I think there might be a chance of severe weather on Monday. Our dew points will actually be supportive for severe weather. Our dew points will be into the mid to upper 50s and low 60s from the Ohio Valley, including Indiana and Ohio, back into parts of the southern plains. Though I don't expect anything widespread right now for Monday, I do think there's at least a chance for isolated severe weather on Monday. So just something to watch for, and again, it'll be mostly a threat, I would say, probably from like southern Illinois back through like northeast Texas, if anything does actually end up happening. It's a low chance. It's just something to watch for as we go into Monday. All right, let's talk more about the temperatures that are going to be upcoming over the next few weeks and really over the next 7 to 10 days, because our temperatures will be changing again as we go into next week. But for the time being, above average temperatures have made their return to much of the United States across Canada and the Great Plains. As we go into Monday into Tuesday, that little trough will skirt just to the north of the Great Lakes. That will not be associated with any sort of big Arctic blast. And then eventually, as we go into Wednesday and Thursday, that is when that Arctic air mass will be moving across the Midwest and as well as the Ohio Valley, and then eventually into the Northeast by the later half of the week. And then eventually by next weekend, we will more than likely see another shot of cold air at some point. And then by Christmas, again, an early look on the GFS model at what we might see on Christmas. Again, take it with a grain of salt. It's 11 days away. Basically, the GFS model is showing torchmas across the country, so be ready for some warmer weather. But again, take it with a grain of salt. Things are probably going to change here over the next few days. And I have a big announcement before this video ends. If you're not following me on social media, you probably didn't see this, but I am currently fostering a cat for the holidays, and I named her Cheese Curd. This is really kind of an exciting thing. This cat is awesome, by the way. I would pick it up and show it on the camera, but it's literally sleeping behind me. But I'm fostering it for the holidays. There's a pretty good chance I'll end up adopting it, but pretty excited about this. You'll probably end up seeing it in live streams. You might even hear it meow on a live stream or even in a video sometimes. So definitely something to keep a close ear on, I guess, in our live streams or close view on. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe if you've not already.